Maya had always known she was different. Not in a good way, though. In the Silver Creek pack, being different meant being the target of every cruel joke and disgusted look. And Maya, she got more than her fair share. She stood in front of the cracked mirror in her tiny room, smoothing down her dress for the 100th time. Tonight was the mate selection ceremony, the one night every Omega dreamed about since childhood. The night when alphas and betas chose their mates, forming bonds that would last a lifetime. But Maya wasn't dreaming. She was trying not to throw up. Are you seriously going to the ceremony looking like that? Her cousin Rebecca leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. I mean, I admire the confidence, but come on. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she turned away from the mirror. I have to go. Everyone has to attend. Yeah, but not everyone actually thinks they'll get picked. Rebecca laughed, the sound sharp and cutting. Do yourself a favor and just stand in the back. Save yourself the embarrassment when no one steps forward for you. The words stung, but they weren't new. Maya had heard variations of them her entire life. Fat Omega, worthless, unlucky, a burden on the pack. Even her own parents barely looked at her anymore, disappointed that their only daughter hadn't inherited her mother's slim figure or her father's strong wolf. As Rebecca walked away, Maya caught her reflection again. She saw what everyone else saw. A girl who didn't fit the mold. A girl who ate her feelings when the loneliness got too heavy. A girl who would never be chosen. The ceremony was held in the pack's central clearing, decorated with flowers and lanterns that cast a warm glow over everything. It should have been magical. For Maya, it felt like walking toward her execution. All the unmated Omegas lined up on one side while the Alphas and Betas gathered on the other. Maya's heart pounded as she took her place at the end of the line. Maybe Rebecca was right. Maybe she should have stayed in the back, tried to blend into the shadows. One by one, Alphas stepped forward to claim their mates. There were happy tears, excited embraces, the joining of hands. Maya watched as girls she'd grown up with found their partners, their faces glowing with joy. The line grew shorter. Maya's section grew emptier. She could hear the whispers starting. People weren't even trying to be quiet anymore. Can you believe she actually came? Who would want her? She can barely keep up on pack runs. I heard even her own wolf is ashamed of her. That last one made Maya's eyes burn with unshed tears. Her wolf, Luna, stirred inside her, whimpering at the cruel words. Luna had always been her only real friend, the only one who never judged her or made her feel less than. Finally, Maya stood alone. Every other Omega had been chosen. Every single one. The ceremony leader, Elder Thomas, cleared his throat awkwardly. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, he said, his voice overly cheerful and fake, it seems that concludes this year's selections. Congratulations to all our new pairs. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Not the kind that comes from joy, but the cruel kind that comes from watching someone else's humiliation. Better luck next year, Maya, someone called out. Yeah, maybe if you lost a few pounds, another voice added, followed by more laughter. Maya's vision blurred. She couldn't breathe. The faces around her swam together, all of them wearing the same expression of pity mixed with disgust. She had to get out of here. Now she turned and ran. Her dress caught on branches as she plunged into the forest, but she didn't care. She just needed to be away from all those eyes, all those voices, all that laughter that seemed to follow her like a curse. Deep in the woods, Maya finally collapsed against a tree, her chest heaving with sobs she'd been holding back all night. Luna howled inside her, sharing her pain, her rage at the injustice of it all. Why? Maya whispered into the darkness. Why did you make me like this? What did I do to deserve this? The forest offered no answers. It never did. She sat there for hours, watching the moon travel across the sky. Her dress was ruined, her hair was a mess, and she probably had dirt all over her face. Not that it mattered. Nothing mattered anymore. That's when the decision crystallized in her mind. She couldn't do this anymore. She couldn't spend another day being the pack's punching bag, living as a constant disappointment to everyone around her. She had to leave Silver Creek. Tonight, it would be dangerous for a lone Omega to travel without pack protection. Rogues roamed the borders, and other packs weren't always friendly to outsiders. But staying here? That was its own kind of death. A slow, painful one that killed her spirit piece by piece every single day. Maya pulled herself to her feet, wiping her face with the back of her hand. She would go back to the pack house, gather what little belongings she could carry, and disappear before dawn. Let them throw a party when they discovered she was gone. Let them celebrate being rid of their embarrassing Omega. As she started walking back, Luna suddenly perked up, alert. Maya froze. She smelled it too. Smoke and something else. The metallic scent of blood. Her instinct screamed at her to run the other way, but something pulled her forward. Through the trees, she could see flames in the distance, coming from the direction of the pack border. Shouts echoed through the night, followed by growls and the sounds of fighting. Rogues. They were attacking the pack. Maya's first thought was to hide. What could she do? She was just a weak Omega. Everyone said so. But then she heard the screaming. People were hurt. People were dying. And despite everything they'd done to her, despite all the cruelty and rejection, they were still her pack. Luna pushed at her consciousness, urging her forward. Maya ran toward the chaos, her heart racing. When she broke through the tree line, the scene before her was carnage. At least a dozen rogues had breached the border, and pack wolves were fighting desperately to drive them back. Bodies lay on the ground, both rogue and pack member. She saw young Trevor, barely 17, pinned beneath a massive rogue wolf, blood pouring from wounds on his chest. Without thinking, Maya rushed forward. The rogue turned toward her, snarling, but a pack warrior tackled it away just in time. Maya dropped to her knees beside Trevor, pressing her hands against his wounds. "Hold on," she begged. "Please hold on." Her hands began to warm. Then they began to glow with a soft golden light. Maya gasped as she felt something flowing out of her, through her palms into Trevor's broken body. The wounds beneath her fingers began to close, the bleeding slowing, then stopping completely. Trevor's eyes fluttered open, confused but alive. "How did you—" he started. But Maya was already moving to the next injured wolf, then the next. She didn't understand what was happening, didn't question it. She just knew she could help. And that's all that mattered. She was kneeling beside the fourth wounded pack member when she felt it, a presence so powerful it made the air itself feel heavy. Every wolf in the clearing, rogue and pack alike, suddenly stopped fighting and turned. A man stood at the edge of the clearing. Tall, broad-shouldered, with eyes that seemed to glow silver in the firelight. Power radiated from him like heat from the sun. Maya's wolf immediately submitted, pressing low, recognizing something ancient and overwhelming. Alpha King Darius Blackwood had arrived, and he was looking straight at her. The fighting stopped instantly. Not because anyone decided to stop. It was like an invisible force had frozen everyone in place. Even the rogues, wild and feral as they were, seemed to recognize the authority that had just entered the clearing. Maya's hands were still glowing with that strange golden light, pressed against the wounded wolf beneath her. She couldn't move, couldn't look away from the man who commanded attention without saying a single word. Alpha King Darius Blackwood was nothing like she'd imagined. She'd heard stories, of course. Everyone had. The ruthless leader who'd united the Western packs, who showed no mercy to rogues, who ruled with an iron fist. They said he was cold, calculating, more beast than man sometimes. But standing there watching him, Maya saw something different. Yes, there was power. Yes, there was danger in every line of his body. But there was also a weariness in his eyes, a heaviness that spoke of too many battles, too many losses. Rogues. His voice cut through the night, deep and commanding. You have one chance. Leave now or don't leave at all. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the largest rogue, a scarred brute missing half an ear, snarled and lunged forward. He didn't make it 3 steps. Darius moved faster than Maya's eyes could follow. 1 second, he was standing still. The next, the rogue was on the ground, neck broken, dead before he hit the earth. The message was clear. The remaining rogues scattered into the forest like shadows fleeing the light. Secure the perimeter, Darius ordered the wolves who had come with him, elite warriors in dark clothing who moved with lethal grace. Make sure they're gone. Kill any who resist. His men disappeared into the trees without a word. Only then did Darius turn his full attention to the clearing. His silver eyes swept over the wounded, the dead, the pack members standing in shock. Then his gaze landed on Maya and stayed there. She felt it like a physical touch, that look. It pinned her in place, made her acutely aware of how she must look. Covered in blood, dirt, and tears, her ruined dress hanging off one shoulder, her hair wild around her face, the pack's unwanted Omega kneeling in the mud, her hands still glowing with unexplained light. You. Darius started walking toward her, and Maya's heart felt like it might explode from her chest. What are you doing? Her voice came out as a squeak. She cleared her throat, tried again. They were hurt. I was just trying to help. By doing what exactly? He stopped a few feet away, towering over her. Up close, he was even more intimidating. Scars crossed his arms and neck, badges of countless fights. His dark hair was pulled back, revealing sharp features that might have been handsome if they weren't so severe. I don't know, Maya admitted honestly. My hands just started glowing and then they were healing. I've never done this before. I didn't even know I could. Something flickered in Darius's eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or interest. It was gone too quickly to be sure. Alpha Gregory, the leader of Silver Creek Pack, rushed over looking flustered and worried. Your Majesty, I apologize for this disaster. We weren't prepared for a rogue attack of this magnitude. If we'd known you were coming tonight, I don't announce my arrivals, Darius said, his eyes still on Maya. That's how you find out what's really happening in a pack. He gestured to the clearing. And what I'm finding is interesting. Gregory followed his gaze to Maya and his expression soured. Oh, that's just Maya, well, she's an Omega. Not particularly useful, I'm afraid. I'm not sure what she's doing out here. Maya flinched at the dismissive tone. Even now, even after she'd helped save pack members, she was still just not particularly useful. Not useful? Darius's voice dropped dangerously low. She just healed 4 wolves who would have died otherwise. That seems remarkably useful to me. Gregory blinked, clearly not expecting the Alpha King to defend Maya. Well, yes, I suppose, but how many healers does your pack have? Darius interrupted. 2, but they're both elderly and not very strong anymore. And yet you call a young Omega with obvious healing gifts not useful. Darius finally looked away from Maya, turning the full force of his attention on Gregory. The Alpha visibly shrank under that gaze. Interesting leadership strategy. The clearing had gone quiet. Everyone was watching now, sensing the tension, the shift in power dynamics. Maya wanted to disappear into the ground. Bring the remaining wounded to her, Darius commanded. Let's see what she can really do. It wasn't a request. Within minutes, Maya found herself surrounded by injured pack members. Some had minor wounds, others were barely clinging to life. Her hands shook as she reached for the first one, not sure if she could make the healing happen again. But the moment she touched torn flesh, that warmth flooded through her. The golden light returned brighter than before, and she knew, somehow she just knew exactly what to do. It was like instinct, like breathing. Her hands moved on their own, finding the worst injuries, knitting tissue back together, pulling people back from the edge of death. She lost track of time. All that existed was the next wound, the next person who needed help. Distantly, she was aware of Darius watching her, his intense gaze never wavering. The pack members stared too, but their expressions were different now. Not mockery or disgust, something closer to awe, maybe even fear. When the last wound closed and the last person was stable, Maya's legs gave out. She collapsed backward, exhausted beyond anything she'd ever felt. Strong hands caught her before she hit the ground. She looked up into silver eyes. Easy, Darius said, his voice gentler than she'd heard it. He lowered her carefully to sit against a tree trunk. You've used up a lot of energy. You need food and rest. I'm okay, Maya managed, though she was trembling all over. Are they all alive? Because of you. He studied her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. What's your name? Maya Sullivan. Maya Sullivan, he repeated slowly, as if testing how it sounded. Tell me, Maya Sullivan, what do you know about your parents? Your bloodline? She shook her head, confused by the question. Nothing special. My mom and dad are regular pack members. Why? Because what you just did isn't normal Omega healing. That's ancient magic, the kind that hasn't been seen in generations. He stood towering over her again, which means either you're hiding something or someone in your family line did. Before Maya could respond, Gregory approached again, this time with forced enthusiasm. Your Majesty, now that this unfortunate incident is resolved, perhaps you'd like to rest at the pack house? We can offer you our finest room, our best food. No need. I won't be staying long. Darius turned to leave, then paused. Actually, there is something I need. A private word with Maya Sullivan. Now. The clearing erupted in whispers. Maya's heart jumped into her throat. A private word with the Alpha King, why? What could he possibly want with her? Gregory sputtered. I don't think that's necessary, Your Majesty. Surely there are better. It wasn't a request, Alpha Gregory. The title came out like an insult. Unless you're denying the Alpha King's direct order? No. Of course not, Good, Maya with me. Maya struggled to her feet, her legs still shaky. She followed Darius to the edge of the clearing, away from the crowd of curious onlookers. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Was she in trouble? Had she done something wrong by using her powers? When they were far enough away that others couldn't hear, Darius turned to face her. In the moonlight, his features were softer somehow, less harsh. "What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this conversation," he said. "Understood?" Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. "I came to Silver Creek tonight following rumors of unusual rogue activity in this region. What I found was a poorly defended pack with weak leadership." He glanced back toward where Gregory stood. "But I also found something unexpected. You. I don't understand. The power you have, true healing power, is rare. Extremely rare. And in the current political climate, it's also extremely valuable." He crossed his arms. "Which means you're in danger. Gregory might not realize it yet. But once word spreads about what you can do, other packs will come for you. Rogues will hunt you. Everyone will want to control your gift." Fear clutched at Maya's chest. She'd spent her whole life trying not to be noticed, and now she was being told she was a target. "What do I do?" she whispered. Darius was quiet for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he said something that changed everything. "Come with me, to the Blackwood Kingdom, under my protection." Maya stared at him, certain she'd misheard. "What? You heard me. I'm offering you a place in my court, safety from those who would use you, and proper training for your abilities." His eyes locked onto hers. "But make no mistake, this isn't charity. I would expect something in return." "What could I possibly give you?" A slight smile crossed his face, though it didn't reach his eyes. "That, Maya Sullivan, is what we'll discuss when you accept my offer. And if I refuse, then I leave you here and you take your chances with whatever comes next." He tilted his head. "But I don't think you'll refuse. Because I saw your face during that ceremony earlier. I saw exactly how this pack treats you. And I'm betting you'd rather take a risk with a stranger than spend one more day being their punching bag." Maya's breath caught. He'd been watching. He'd seen her humiliation, her rejection, everything, so Darius extended his hand. "Do we have a deal?" Maya stared at Darius's outstretched hand like it might bite her. Her mind was spinning. Leave Silver Creek? Go with the Alpha King? It was insane. Reckless, dangerous, and yet every part of her screamed yes. "I need to know what you want from me," she said, not taking his hand yet. "You said you'd expect something in return. What exactly?" Darius lowered his hand but didn't look offended. If anything, he seemed pleased by her caution. "Smart. Always know the terms before you make a deal." He leaned against a nearby tree, studying her. "What do you know about the Blackwood Kingdom's politics?" "Not much," Maya admitted. "Just that you're the strongest pack in the Western Territories. Strongest, yes. But also the most targeted. I have enemies on every border. Allies who'd betray me for the right price. And a council of advisors who question every decision I make because I refuse to do the one thing they think will solve everything. Which is, take a mate." The words hung in the air between them. Maya's heart started pounding again. This time for a completely different reason. They believe a queen would stabilize the kingdom, give the people hope, strengthen alliances through strategic partnerships. Darius's voice was flat, emotionless. "They're not entirely wrong. But they want me to choose some high-born alpha daughter who cares more about power than anything else. And I'd rather eat glass." Despite everything, Maya almost smiled at that. "So where do I fit in?" "I need someone to play the role of my mate publicly, for approximately 1 year." He held up a hand before she could interrupt. "Not a real mate. A contracted arrangement. You'd live at the palace, attend functions by my side, convince everyone that I've finally settled down. In exchange, I give you protection, training for your abilities, wealth, and at the end of the year, complete freedom to go wherever you want." Maya's head was spinning. "You want me to pretend to be your mate? Why me? There must be dozens of she-wolves who'd jump at the chance." "Exactly. That's the problem." Darius pushed off from the tree, moving closer. "Every she-wolf in my kingdom sees me as a prize to be won, a throne to claim. They'd spend the entire year trying to make the arrangement permanent, manipulating situations, causing drama. But you?" He gestured at her. "You don't want anything from me. You're not trying to impress me. You're just trying to survive. That makes you perfect. Perfect, Maya repeated bitterly. Nobody's ever called me that before. Then they're fools who can't see what's right in front of them. The statement was matter of fact, not flattery. That healing gift you have? It's powerful enough that having you as my mate, even contractually, would make other packs think twice about attacking us, and your presence would satisfy the Council's demands while giving me space to actually rule. It was all so calculated, so businesslike, and honestly, that made Maya feel safer somehow. At least he was being honest about his intentions. What happens after the year? She asked. You get a substantial payment, enough to start fresh wherever you want. New identity if you need it, connections to safe territories, whatever you require. We stage a respectful separation, claim we realized we weren't true mates, and go our separate ways. No drama, no mess. And you'd trust me not to tell anyone the truth? I'd have you sign a magical contract. Break it and there are consequences. His expression darkened slightly. But I don't think you will. You're not the type to betray trust. I can tell. Maya wanted to ask how he could possibly know that about her, but before she could, voices drifted through the trees. The pack was getting restless, wondering what was taking so long. I need an answer, Maya. Darius's voice was gentle but firm. Dawn is coming and I leave at first light. With or without you. She thought about Silver Creek, about Rebecca's cruel smile and Elder Thomas's pitying looks, about standing alone at the ceremony while everyone laughed, about her parents who could barely stand to look at her, about a lifetime of being the Omega nobody wanted. Then she thought about the alternative. Unknown, yes. Scary, absolutely, but also a chance. A real chance at something different, at being more than the pack's disappointment. If I do this, she said slowly, I want something else added to the contract. Darius raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. At the end of the year, I want you to help establish better protections for Omegas. New laws, maybe, or at least guidelines that packs have to follow, so nobody else has to go through what I did. For the first time since she'd met him, Darius smiled. A real smile that transformed his entire face, making him look younger, almost human. Deal. I was planning to push for that anyway. Having you as an ally just makes it easier to justify. He extended his hand again. This time, Maya took it. His grip was warm and strong, and the moment their skin touched, something sparked between them. Not the mate bond, Maya knew that's not what this was. But something else. Recognition, maybe, or just the sealing of a very strange bargain. Pack your things, Darius said, releasing her hand. We leave in 2 hours. 2 hours. I thought you said dawn. Changed my mind. The sooner we're gone, the better. Gregory's going to throw a fit when he realizes what's happening, and I'd rather deal with that from a distance. He started walking back toward the clearing, then paused. Oh, and Maya? When we return, act confident. Like this is exactly what you wanted. It'll make the transition easier. Act confident. Right. Because that was something Maya was so good at. But as she followed Darius back into the clearing, something shifted inside her. Maybe it was the adrenaline from the fight, or the exhaustion from healing so many wolves, or just the surreal nature of everything that had happened. But for the first time in her life, Maya felt like she had control. She was choosing this. Not being chosen, but actively making a decision about her own future. The crowd fell silent as they emerged from the trees. Every eye fixed on them, hungry for information, desperate to know what the Alpha King had wanted with their reject Omega. Alpha Gregory. Darius's voice rang out clear and commanding. I have an announcement. Gregory stepped forward, looking nervous. Of course, Your Majesty. I'm claiming Maya Sullivan as my contracted mate. She'll be leaving with me for the Blackwood Kingdom immediately. The silence that followed was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop in that clearing. Then chaos. What? That's impossible. Maya, our Maya? He can't be serious. Gregory looked like someone had slapped him. Your Majesty, surely there's been some mistake. Maya is, well, she's not exactly what? Darius's voice cut like a blade. Not exactly worth your attention? Not exactly what you'd expect? Good, I don't deal in expectations. I deal in results. And from what I saw tonight, Maya has more value than half your pack combined. Rebecca pushed through the crowd, her face twisted with disbelief and jealousy. This is insane. Maya can't be a queen. Look at her. Darius turned the full weight of his gaze on her, and Rebecca actually stumbled backward. I am looking at her. I see courage. I see power. I see potential that's been wasted in this pack. He looked around at all of them. What do you see? Because from where I'm standing, the only thing wrong with Maya is that she's been surrounded by wolves too blind to recognize her worth. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. Not here, not in front of them. Instead, she lifted her chin, squared her shoulders, and tried to look like someone who deserved to be standing next to an alpha king. Her father pushed forward from the crowd. Now wait just a minute. You can't just take my daughter without what? Your permission? Darius's laugh was cold. I'm the Alpha King. I don't need permission from you or anyone else. And considering how you've treated your daughter, I'd say you've forfeited any right to have a say in her future. Maya's mother appeared next to her father, and for a moment Maya hoped she might say something supportive, but her mother just looked at her with that same disappointed expression she'd worn for years. Maya, dear, don't you think you should reconsider? This is all very sudden and you're not exactly… Well, she trailed off, unable to finish the sentence, but the meaning was clear. Not exactly good enough for an Alpha King. I've made my decision, Maya said, and was proud when her voice didn't shake. I'm leaving. You'll regret this, Rebecca hissed. Whatever game you're playing, it won't last. He'll see what you really are soon enough. Darius moved to stand beside Maya, a subtle but powerful gesture of solidarity. The only thing I'll see is what's already obvious to anyone with eyes. Now, unless someone wants to formally challenge my claim, and trust me, you don't, I suggest you step aside so Maya can gather her belongings. No one moved to challenge him. Of course they didn't. Even the strongest alpha in Silver Creek wouldn't dare face the Alpha King in combat. Maya walked through the crowd toward the pack house, feeling their stares burning into her back. She heard the whisper starting up again, the speculation, the disbelief. Let them talk. In 2 hours she'd be gone, and she'd never have to hear their cruel voices again. Her room looked even smaller and shabbier than usual. Most of her belongings wouldn't be worth taking. A few clothes, a photo of her grandmother, who'd been the only family member who'd ever been kind to her, and a small carved wolf Luna had found in the forest years ago. She was stuffing everything into a worn backpack when someone knocked on her door. For a second, she thought it might be her parents coming to apologize or say goodbye properly. Maya woke up in the medical wing 3 days later. Breaking the curse had taken more out of her than she'd realized. According to Vera, who'd barely left her side, Maya had collapsed the moment they returned to the palace and had been sleeping ever since. You scared us half to death, Vera said, helping Maya sit up and drink some water. The king especially. He's been here every day, sometimes sleeping in that chair just to be near you. Where is he now? Maya asked, her voice still hoarse. Council meeting. But he left strict orders to fetch him the second you woke up. Vera smiled. I'll go get him. Don't try to get up yet. You're still healing. As Vera hurried away, Maya took stock of herself. She felt different. Stronger somehow, like something inside her had shifted and settled into place. Her healing powers had always been there, but now they felt more integrated, more controlled. Breaking the curse hadn't just freed Darius, it had awakened something in her too. The door burst open and Darius rushed in, still wearing his formal council attire. His face flooded with relief when he saw her awake. Maya. He crossed to her in 3 long strides, taking her hand. How do you feel? Like I broke an ancient curse and lived to tell about it, she said with a weak smile. He laughed, the sound full of emotion. Only you would joke about it. His expression turned serious. You've been asleep for 3 days. We were starting to worry you wouldn't wake up. Takes more than dark magic to keep me down. She squeezed his hand. What did I miss? A lot, actually. He sat on the edge of the bed. News of what happened in the mountains has spread. The council is demanding a full explanation. Helena and the Northern Alphas have been sending messages asking about your condition. And there's something else. What? Your old pack. Silver Creek. They've been trying to contact you. Maya's stomach tightened. Why? Word got out about you breaking the curse. About your true healing abilities. Suddenly they're very interested in claiming you as one of their own. His jaw clenched. Gregory himself sent a formal letter requesting an audience. Let me guess. He wants to pretend like they always valued me? Essentially, yes. He's framing it as a proud pack celebrating one of their members' success. Darius's eyes darkened. It made me want to rip the letter to shreds. Don't. Actually, I think we should invite them here. He looked at her in surprise. Why would you want to see them after everything they did? Because running away from Silver Creek was always temporary. I need closure. Real closure. And I need them to see that I didn't just survive without them, I thrived. Maya sat up straighter, ignoring the slight dizziness. Plus, I made you promise to help establish better protections for Omegas. Silver Creek is the perfect place to start. A slow smile spread across Darius's face. You want to make an example of them. I want to make sure no other Omega goes through what I did. If that means using Silver Creek as a teaching moment, then yes. I knew there was a reason I fell in love with you. He leaned in and kissed her gently. All right. We'll invite them for your official coronation ceremony. Maya pulled back. My what? Did you think I'd let you be my mate without making you my queen officially? We're doing this properly with witnesses and celebration and everything. He grinned at her shocked expression. The ceremony is in 2 weeks. That gives you time to recover fully and prepare. And yes, before you ask, we're inviting everyone. Northern Alpha's council members, neighboring packs, and your old pack from Silver Creek. 2 weeks? Maya's head spun. Darius, that's not enough time to... Leo's already handling most of the planning. Vera's managing the details. Kira's organizing security. All you need to do is heal, practice your coronation speech, and show up. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. And maybe rest. Definitely rest. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. Maya's recovery was surprisingly fast. Her healing abilities seemed to work on herself now, too. Within days, she was up and moving, though Vera and Darius both watched her like hawks, ready to catch her if she so much as swayed. Leo drilled her on protocol and ceremony procedures. You'll walk down the main hall, accept the crown from the Alpha King, and then speak to the gathered packs. Your speech should be inspirational but humble, strong but compassionate. No pressure, Maya muttered. Oh, there's tons of pressure, Leo said cheerfully. But you've broken ancient curses and survived the Forbidden Mountains. I think you can handle a speech. Kira took over her physical training with renewed intensity. As queen, you'll be a target. You need to be able to defend yourself. They practiced daily, and Maya was shocked to discover she was actually getting good at combat. Her wolf Luna had grown stronger too, more confident. The dress for the coronation was a masterpiece. Deep gold fabric that shimmered like sunlight, with delicate embroidery that told the story of an Omega who became a queen. When Maya saw herself in it for the first time, she barely recognized the woman in the mirror. You look like a queen, Vera said softly, tears in her eyes. I feel like an imposter, Maya admitted. Everyone feels that way at first. But you'll grow into it. You already have, really. You just don't see it yet. The night before the ceremony, Darius found Maya in the library, her favorite place to think. She was reading his grandmother's book again, trying to absorb centuries of queenly wisdom in one night. You're going to be brilliant tomorrow, he said, sitting beside her. You have to say that. You're biased. I'm stating facts. He took the book from her hands and set it aside. Maya, look at me, she did. Tomorrow you become my queen officially. But you've been my queen from the moment you agreed to come here. From the moment you chose to fight beside me instead of running. From the moment you proved that courage and compassion matter more than bloodlines or appearances. He took both her hands. You've already earned this crown. Tomorrow is just everyone else catching up to what I've known all along. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. I love you. I love you too. My queen, my mate, my Maya. They spent the night together, not worrying about tomorrow, just enjoying being two people who'd found each other against all odds. The morning of the coronation arrived bright and clear. The palace was filled with wolves from every territory, allies and former enemies alike, all gathered to witness history. In her dressing room, surrounded by Vera, Kira, and even Nina from the tea party who'd become a genuine friend, Maya prepared for the biggest moment of her life. They're all here, Nina reported, peeking out the window. I can see the Silver Creek delegation. Your parents are with them. And that Rebecca girl who was always so mean. Maya's stomach flipped. How do they look? Uncomfortable. Like they know they don't deserve to be here. Nina smiled. It's perfect. When it was time, Maya walked through the palace corridors toward the main hall. She could hear the crowd inside, hundreds of voices creating a low murmur of anticipation. The doors opened and silence fell. Maya lifted her chin and walked forward. Past rows of powerful alphas and important council members. Past Helena and the Northern delegation, who nodded with respect. Past Lady Celeste, whose expression was carefully neutral. And there, near the back, she saw them. Her parents, looking older and smaller than she remembered. Rebecca, whose face was twisted with jealousy. Elder Thomas, who couldn't quite meet her eyes, but Maya didn't falter. She walked with the confidence of someone who'd fought for her place, who'd earned every step. At the front of the hall, Darius stood waiting. When their eyes met, he smiled, just for her, private and warm. She reached the platform and knelt as tradition required. Darius lifted the crown, gold and beautiful, embedded with gems that caught the light. By the power vested in me as Alpha King, I name you Maya Sullivan Blackwood, Queen of the Blackwood Kingdom, protector of the weak, voice of the forgotten, and true mate to the Alpha King. He placed the crown on her head. Rise, my queen. Maya stood and the hall erupted in applause. But she only had eyes for Darius, who pulled her close and kissed her in front of everyone. When they finally broke apart, it was time for her speech. Maya turned to face the gathered crowd, her heart pounding. Most of you don't know me, she began, her voice carrying through the hall. 6 weeks ago, I was nobody special. Just an Omega from a small pack, overlooked and undervalued. I was told I'd never amount to anything, that I should be grateful for whatever scraps of acceptance I could get. She saw her parents shift uncomfortably. Good, but I was wrong to believe them, and they were wrong to make me feel that way. She paused, letting that sink in. Because every wolf, regardless of rank or appearance or pack origin, has value.
Has power.
Has potential that's waiting to be recognized. Now she looked directly at Gregory and the Silver Creek delegation. For too long, Omegas have been treated as lesser, as weak, as disposable. That ends now. As your queen, my first official act is to establish new laws protecting Omegas across all territories. No Omega will be mocked for their appearance. No Omega will be denied opportunity because of their rank. And no Omega will ever stand alone at a mating ceremony again, feeling worthless and unwanted. The hall erupted in applause again. Maya saw Gregory's face turn red, saw Rebecca look away in shame. But she also saw other Omegas in the crowd, their faces lighting up with hope. This kingdom will be a place where strength comes in many forms, where healing is valued as much as fighting, where compassion is seen as power, not weakness. The search for the witch began at dawn. Darius had assembled a small team, Kira, Leo, Maya, and himself. They couldn't take a large group without drawing attention, but they needed enough people to handle danger if it found them. Their first lead took them to the eastern borders, to a village that had once been the witch's home before Darius executed her brother. The place was nearly abandoned now, just a few elderly wolves who remembered the old days. Morgana Blackthorn, an old woman told them, her voice scratchy with age. That was her name. Powerful witch, always dabbled in dark magic. When you killed her brother, she swore vengeance and disappeared into the wildlands. Did she have any allies? Anyone who might know where she went? Darius asked. The woman shook her head. Morgana trusted no one. But there were rumors she went north, toward the Forbidden Mountains. Nobody goes there anymore. Too dangerous. Old magic lives in those peaks, the kind that drives wolves mad. After they left the village, Kira voiced what everyone was thinking. The Forbidden Mountains? That's suicide. Even experienced warriors don't come back from there. Then it's the perfect place for someone to hide, Darius said. Or the perfect place to die trying to find them, Leo muttered. Maya had been quiet during the whole exchange. Something the old woman said had triggered a memory. Darius, when Morgana cursed you, did she say anything specific? The exact words? He thought for a moment. She said, "The woman you love will die when the blood moon rises, paying the price for the blood you spilled." Why? Because curses have rules. They're not just random magic. They follow patterns. Maya pulled out one of the books from Darius's library that she'd been studying. Look at this. Ancient curse-breaking techniques. Most curses can only be broken by confronting the caster directly, or by fulfilling some kind of counter-condition. We already know we need to confront her, Kira said. Yes, but maybe there's another way. The curse targets the woman you love. What if it's not about killing the witch, but about proving the love is stronger than the curse? Maya looked at Darius. What if breaking it requires both of us working together? Leo's eyes lit up. That makes sense. Ancient magic is all about balance and reciprocity. If the curse feeds on fear and separation, maybe the counter is trust and unity. That's a big maybe to bet our lives on, Kira said. Do we have a better option? Darius asked. When no one answered, he nodded. Then we head for the mountains tomorrow. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She stood on her balcony watching the moon. Not quite full yet, but getting closer. 5 weeks until the blood moon. 5 weeks to break an ancient curse or die trying. Can't sleep either. She turned to find Darius leaning against the doorframe of the balcony entrance. He must have used the connecting door between their rooms that she didn't even know existed. Too much on my mind, she admitted. He joined her at the railing. For a while, they just stood in comfortable silence watching the night sky. I keep thinking about what you said. Darius finally spoke. About the curse requiring both of us. About our bond being the key, and I'm wondering if we're strong enough. Our connection is real, I know that now. But is it enough to break dark magic that's been festering for 5 years? Maya turned to face him. There's only one way to find out. You could still leave, you know. Take your payment now. Start fresh somewhere safe. I wouldn't blame you. Would you leave if our positions were reversed? That's different. No, it's not, she grabbed his hand. We're in this together, remember? For better or worse, he looked down at their joined hands. Those are mate bond words. Maybe they are. The air between them felt charged, heavy with unspoken feelings. Darius raised his free hand and cupped her face gently. If we die in those mountains, we won't. But if we do, I want you to know something. His silver eyes held hers. Meeting you was the best thing that's happened to me in years. Real or contract or whatever this started as, you've reminded me what it feels like to actually live instead of just survive. Maya's breath caught. Darius, he kissed her. Soft at first, tentative, like he was afraid she might pull away. But Maya leaned into it, her hands moving to his chest, feeling his heart pounding as hard as hers. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Darius rested his forehead against hers. That probably wasn't smart, he whispered. Definitely not smart. Maya agreed, but I'm glad we did it anyway. They stood like that for a long moment before Darius reluctantly stepped back. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. After he left, Maya touched her lips, still feeling the ghost of that kiss. Everything was so complicated now. The contract, the curse, these feelings that kept growing despite all the reasons they shouldn't. But for the first time in her life, Maya felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The journey to the Forbidden Mountains took 3 days. They traveled light and fast, avoiding main roads and other packs. The landscape grew harsher with each mile. Trees became twisted and dark. The air felt heavy with old magic, and even the wildlife seemed wrong somehow. This place gives me the creeps, Leo said on the 3rd day, looking around nervously. Stay alert, Kira warned. The mountains play tricks on your mind. You'll see things that aren't there, hear voices, feel watched. It's all designed to drive intruders away or mad. She wasn't wrong. As they climbed higher into the peaks, Maya started seeing shadows that moved wrong, hearing whispers in languages she didn't understand. Her wolf Luna was on edge, growling at threats only she could sense. Darius stayed close to Maya the entire time, their hands occasionally brushing, a silent reminder that they weren't alone. On the 4th day they found it, a cave carved into the mountainside, marked with symbols that glowed with faint purple light. Dark magic. Lots of it, she's in there, Darius said with certainty. I can feel her presence. Could be a trap, Kira said. Definitely a trap, Leo corrected. The question is whether we spring it anyway. Maya stepped forward. We don't have a choice. We came here to confront her, and that's what we're going to do. Darius grabbed her arm gently. Stay behind me. Whatever happens, don't try to protect me at the cost of breaking the curse, Maya finished. We do this together or not at all. He nodded reluctantly. They entered the cave as a group, weapons ready, senses on high alert. The tunnel went deep into the mountain, lit by those same purple glowing symbols. The air smelled like decay and magic gone sour. Finally, they reached a large chamber, and there, standing in the center, surrounded by magical artifacts and dark crystals, was Morgana Blackthorn. She was younger than Maya expected, maybe late 30s, with wild black hair and eyes that burned with purple fire. When she saw them, she smiled, not friendly, but triumphant. Well, the Alpha King himself comes to visit, and he brought the doomed girl with him. How romantic. Her voice echoed unnaturally in the chamber. Come to beg for mercy? I've come to end this, Darius said coldly. Your curse, your vengeance, all of it. Release Maya from the curse and I'll grant you safe passage out of these mountains. Morgana laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. Safe passage? You killed my brother. You took everything from me. And you think I'll just let you walk away happy with your little mate? She raised her hands and the crystals around her began to glow brighter. No, the curse stands. In 4 weeks, when the blood moon rises, she dies, and you get to live with that guilt forever. What if we break it first? Maya stepped forward despite Darius trying to hold her back. You can't break it, child. I've made sure of that. Every curse has a weakness, Maya said, her voice steady even though her heart was racing. And I think I know what yours is. Morgana's smile faltered slightly. Oh, really? Your curse feeds on fear and isolation. It's designed to keep Darius alone, to make him afraid of connection. But what if we're not afraid? Maya moved to stand beside Darius, taking his hand. What if our bond is stronger than your magic? Impossible, Morgana hissed. No bond can break a blood curse. Ancient Omega magic can, Maya said. And that's exactly what I have. She closed her eyes and reached deep inside herself, finding that well of golden healing power. But this time, instead of directing it outward to heal wounds, she directed it inward, toward the bond she shared with Darius. Their connection flared to life, bright and hot and undeniable. She felt his strength flowing into her, and she let her healing magic flow into him, wrapping around the dark curse like vines of light strangling poison. Morgana screamed, a sound of pure rage. No, you can't. I won't let you. She threw dark magic at them, purple lightning that crackled and burned. Kira and Leo moved to deflect it, their weapons glowing with protective enchantments they'd prepared for exactly this moment. But the real battle was happening on a different plane. Maya could see it in her mind. The curse wrapped around Darius's soul like chains, dark and suffocating. Her healing light was burning through those chains, but it was so hard, like trying to break steel with her bare hands. Maya, it's too much, Darius said, his voice strained. You'll hurt yourself. Together, remember? She squeezed his hand tighter. Give me your strength. All of it, he did. The Alpha King's power, ancient and vast, surged through their bond. Combined with Maya's healing magic, it became something new, something neither of them had alone. The chains shattered. Morgana shrieked as her curse broke apart, the backlash of broken magic. The next 3 days passed in a blur of lessons, training, and preparation. Leo, Maya's new advisor, turned out to be a whirlwind of information, packed into a 20-something body with endless energy. Okay. So the Northern Territories are led by 3 main packs, Leo said, pacing Maya's room while she tried to memorize names and relationships. The Frost Ridge Pack, the Ice Veil Pack, and the North Star Pack. Frost Ridge's alpha, Helena, is the real power player. She's sharp, doesn't tolerate nonsense, and hates wasting time. Great. So I need to be smart, direct, and efficient. Maya rubbed her temples. Anything else? Yes. She also lost her mate 2 years ago and has been running the pack alone since. She's suspicious of mate bonds now. Thinks they're weaknesses that can be exploited. So when she sees you and the king together, she'll be looking for cracks in your relationship. Maya's stomach twisted. Looking for cracks in a fake relationship wouldn't be hard. What happens if she doesn't believe us? Maya asked. Leo stopped pacing. Then she probably sides with the Eastern Alliance, which means we lose access to crucial northern trade routes and gain a very powerful enemy. He sat down across from her. No pressure, but this dinner could literally determine whether we go to war or maintain peace. Leo, you're terrible at the whole no pressure thing. He grinned. Yeah, I've been told that. Despite the stress, Maya found herself liking Leo. He was honest, funny, and treated her like an equal instead of an outsider. He filled her in on palace gossip, warned her about which council members to avoid, and shared stories about Darius that made the Alpha King seem almost human. He once stayed up for 3 days straight negotiating a treaty, Leo told her. Refused to sleep until it was done because people's lives were at stake. That's who he is. Everything he does is for the kingdom, even when it costs him personally. That sounds exhausting, Maya said. It is, which is why he needs someone like you. Maya looked up sharply. What do you mean? Leo hesitated, choosing his words carefully. I don't know the details of your arrangement with the king. That's not my business. But I do know that since you arrived, he's been different, less isolated. Like maybe he remembers there's more to life than just duty. Before Maya could respond, Vera knocked and entered. The king wants to see you. In his private study. Now. Maya's heart jumped. In the 3 days since the council meeting, she'd barely seen Darius. He'd been busy with kingdom business and she'd been drowning in lessons. Their interactions had been brief and formal. Darius's study was in the West Tower, a room that felt more like him than the formal council chambers. Books lined every wall, papers covered the desk, and a fire crackled in the fireplace. He stood by the window looking out at the darkening sky. You wanted to see me, Maya said from the doorway. Close the door. His voice was tight, strained. Maya did as asked, worry creeping through her. Is something wrong? The northern dinner is tomorrow night. I know. Leo's been preparing me. I think I'm ready. That's not what I need to talk to you about. He turned to face her, and Maya was shocked by what she saw. He looked tired, haunted even, with dark circles under his eyes. I need to tell you something. Something that changes the nature of our contract. Maya moved closer. What is it? There's a curse on me. The words came out flat, emotionless. A witch placed it on me 5 years ago after I executed her brother for murder. She swore that any woman I truly loved would die on the next blood moon after I acknowledged my feelings. The room felt too small suddenly. What? That's why I've never taken a real mate. Why I've kept everyone at arm's length. Why I designed our arrangement to be temporary and emotion-free. He ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. But there's a problem. What problem? He looked at her directly, and the raw vulnerability in his eyes took her breath away. I'm starting to care about you, Maya. More than I should. More than is safe. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Darius, let me finish. He moved away from the window closer to her. I told myself it was just respect. Admiration for your courage and strength. But it's more than that. The way you stood up to Celeste. How hard you've worked these past few days to learn everything Leo throws at you. The way you help Vera with tasks that are beneath a future queen because you don't think you're better than anyone. He stopped a few feet away. I'm breaking my own rules and it's putting you in danger. The blood moon, Maya whispered. When is it? 6 weeks, 6 weeks. The same time their contract was supposed to end. So we just stick to the plan, Maya said, trying to sound confident. We maintain distance, keep things professional, finish the year, and go our separate ways. Problem solved. Except tomorrow night we need to convince the Northern Alphas that we're deeply in love, that our mate bond is real and unbreakable. He laughed bitterly. How am I supposed to pretend to love you when I'm terrified that actually loving you will kill you? Maya's mind was racing. This curse. Can it be broken? I've consulted every witch, every magic user, every ancient text I could find. The answer is always the same. The only way to break a curse is to defeat the one who cast it. And the witch who cursed me? She disappeared years ago. Could be dead. Could be hiding. Nobody knows, so we're just supposed to accept it. Live in fear? I've accepted it. That's why I've lived the way I have, alone. It's safer that way. He looked at her. But now I've brought you into this mess and I don't know how to protect you from my own feelings. Maya moved closer to him, watching him tense as she approached. Maybe the answer isn't to fight your feelings. Maybe it's to fight the curse. I've tried. No, you've researched. You've consulted. You've avoided. But have you actually fought? Actively searched for this witch and forced a confrontation? It's too dangerous. More dangerous than waiting for the blood moon and hoping nothing bad happens. Maya grabbed his arm, making him look at her. Darius, I know our arrangement is supposed to be fake. I know in 6 weeks I'm supposed to walk away with my payment and my freedom. But I can't do that knowing I left you to face this curse alone. This isn't your fight. Yes, it is. You made it my fight when you brought me here, when you gave me a chance at a different life, when you treated me like I was worth something. She felt tears prick her eyes but blinked them back. And if I'm being honest, I'm starting to care about you too. So either we find a way to break this curse together, or we both spend the next 6 weeks being miserable and scared. Darius stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly, carefully, he reached out and touched her face. His hand was warm against her cheek. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish, he said softly. Probably both. He almost smiled. If we do this, if we actively pursue breaking the curse, it means putting you in real danger. Not just court politics or jealous ladies, real life-threatening danger. I heal people, remember? I can handle myself. Your healing gift. His eyes sharpened. That's another thing. I've been researching it. That kind of power, ancient Omega magic, it's rare, but it's also connected to curse breaking in some of the oldest texts. Maya's heart skipped. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's not a coincidence that I found you right when I needed someone with your specific abilities. Maybe fate or destiny or whatever you want to call it brought us together for a reason. You don't believe in fate. I didn't. But I'm starting to wonder. He let his hand drop. Tomorrow night at the dinner, we need to act like a couple who's deeply in love. Can you do that? Knowing what you know now?
Can you?
I'll have to. Too much is riding on this. He moved back to his desk, putting distance between them again. After tomorrow, we start actively searching for the witch. I have some leads, places she might have gone. It'll be dangerous, but you're right. Waiting for the curse to strike is worse than trying to fight it. Agreed. Maya? He looked at her again. Thank you. For not running when I told you about the curse. Most people would have. I'm not most people. No, you're really not. Maya left his study with her head spinning. A curse, real danger. And underneath it all, the terrifying realization that her feelings for Darius weren't fake anymore either. When had that happened? When had the contract stopped being just business? She didn't have answers. But she knew one thing for certain. Tomorrow night, she'd have to convince powerful alphas that she was in love with Darius Blackwood. And the scariest part? It wouldn't be acting. The next evening, Vera spent hours getting Maya ready for the dinner. The dress was stunning. Deep blue silk that somehow made Maya look elegant instead of uncomfortable. Her hair was styled in a way that looked effortless but probably took Vera an hour to perfect. You look beautiful, Vera said, stepping back to admire her work. Maya hardly recognized herself in the mirror. I look like someone else. You look like yourself, just polished. Vera adjusted a strand of hair. Remember what Leo taught you. Helena respects strength and honesty. Be confident but not arrogant. Be warm but not weak. Right, easy. Maya's hands were shaking. A knock on the door made them both turn. Darius entered and Maya's breath caught. He wore formal attire that made him look every inch the powerful Alpha King. But when his eyes landed on her, something shifted in his expression. You look... He stopped, cleared his throat. You look perfect, thank you. So do you. The silence that followed Darius's announcement lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then chaos erupted. This is outrageous. Who is she? From which family? Your Majesty, surely this requires discussion. Enough. Darius didn't raise his voice, but the single word cut through the noise like a blade. Everyone fell silent immediately. I didn't bring Maya here for your approval. I'm informing you of my decision as a courtesy. An older man with silver hair and sharp eyes stood up. Your Majesty, with all due respect, choosing a mate affects the entire kingdom. The council has a right to advise me, not to make decisions for me. Darius gestured to Maya. Maya, come here. Her legs felt like water, but Maya forced herself to walk around the table to stand beside Darius. Every eye in the room tracked her movement, analyzing, judging, finding her lacking. This is Chancellor Vincent. Darius introduced the silver-haired man. Head of the council and biggest pain in my side. Vincent's jaw tightened, but he nodded politely to Maya. A pleasure, though I wish we'd had advance notice of such an important development. Life doesn't always give advance notice, Darius replied smoothly. Maya, would you like to sit? He pulled out the chair next to his own, the seat traditionally reserved for the king's mate. A position of honor and power. Maya sat, trying to ignore how the expensive wood felt foreign beneath her. A woman across the table leaned forward, her eyes calculating. Tell us about yourself, dear. Your family, your pack, your bloodline. The way she said dear made it sound like an insult. I'm from Silver Creek Pack, Maya said, keeping her voice steady. My parents are regular pack members. Nothing special about my bloodline that I know of. Silver Creek, another council member, a younger man with perfectly styled hair, looked confused. That's Gregory's territory. Isn't that pack... Well, rather insignificant. Small doesn't mean insignificant, Darius said coldly. And Maya's value has nothing to do with her pack's reputation. Of course not, Your Majesty. the woman said, though her smile suggested otherwise. I'm Lady Celeste, by the way. I oversee diplomatic relations with the Southern Territories. I'm simply curious how you two met. During a rogue attack, Maya said before Darius could answer. If she was going to do this, she needed to speak for herself. I was helping injured pack members when the king arrived. How fortunate, Lady Celeste purred. And this was when exactly? Yesterday? The implication was clear. You've known each other one day and suddenly you're mates? Ridiculous, the timeline is irrelevant, Darius said. When you know, you know. My parents knew within hours of meeting each other. Or have you all forgotten what true mate bonds feel like? That shut several people up. Bringing up mate bonds was a bold move, considering Maya and Darius didn't actually have one. But it was also hard to argue with. If I may, Chancellor Vincent said carefully, there are practical concerns beyond the romantic aspects. A mate becomes queen, which means she'll have access to sensitive information, political decisions, treaty negotiations. She'll need training in these areas. Already arranged, Darius said. Maya will begin lessons tomorrow with the best advisors in the kingdom. Lessons are one thing. Natural aptitude is another. Vincent looked at Maya directly. No offense intended, but preparing someone for queenship typically takes years, not weeks. Good thing we're both fast learners then, Maya said, surprising herself with her boldness. And I don't expect anyone to just hand me respect. I'll earn it. Several council members exchanged glances. Whether impressed or skeptical, Maya couldn't tell. The meeting continued for another hour. They discussed kingdom business, territory disputes, trade agreements, the ongoing rogue problem. Maya tried to follow along, but most of it went over her head. She noticed Darius watching her occasionally, as if checking to make sure she was okay. When it finally ended, people filed out slowly, many finding excuses to linger and stare at Maya. Lady Celeste approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Maya, dear, you simply must join us for tea this afternoon. The other ladies of the court are dying to meet you. Translation, they want to tear you apart and find your weaknesses. That sounds lovely, Maya lied. After everyone left, only Maya and Darius remained in the council room. He loosened his formal jacket and let out a long breath. You did well, he said. I barely said anything. Exactly. You didn't overshare, didn't get defensive, didn't try too hard to impress them. He moved to the window, looking out over the kingdom. That's better than most people manage their first time facing the council. Maya joined him at the window. From this height she could see the entire palace grounds, the training yards, the gardens, the walls, and beyond that, endless forest. They hate me. They don't know you well enough to hate you yet. Right now they're just suspicious and protective of their own interests. He glanced at her. Give them time. Some will come around. Others never will. That's politics. Lady Celeste seemed particularly friendly. Darius snorted. Celeste has been trying to set me up with her daughter for 3 years. She's probably plotting your mysterious disappearance as we speak. At Maya's alarmed look, he added, I'm joking, mostly, but seriously, watch yourself around her. Is everyone here going to be like that? All fake smiles and hidden agendas? Not everyone. Kira's genuine, Vera too. You'll find your people. Just be careful until you figure out who's who. He checked his watch. Speaking of which, you have an hour before that tea appointment. Want to see something that might make you feel better? Desperately. He led her through the palace, down corridors Maya would definitely get lost in later, until they reached a set of large double doors. When he pushed them open, Maya gasped. The library was enormous. 3 floors of books with spiral staircases connecting them, comfortable reading nooks everywhere and huge windows letting in natural light. The smell of old paper and leather filled the air. This is incredible, Maya breathed. It's yours whenever you want it. Not many people use it anymore. Everyone's too busy with their schemes to actually read. Darius walked to a specific shelf and pulled out a worn book. This might help with your training. It's a history of the kingdom written by my grandmother. She was queen for 40 years and navigated more political disasters than anyone should have to. Her advice is still sound. Maya took the book carefully. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You've got that tea party to survive first. He headed for the door, then stopped. Maya, about the contract. I know I said it's just business, and it is. But that doesn't mean you're alone in this. If you need anything, advice, backup, someone to vent to, you can find me. All right? Before she could respond, he was gone. Maya spent the next hour in the library trying to read, but mostly just staring at words without processing them. When Vera came to collect her for tea, she felt sick to her stomach. "You'll be fine," Vera assured her as they walked to the garden where the tea was being held. "Just remember, they're testing you. Don't give them ammunition." The garden was beautiful, and the table was set with delicate china and fancy pastries. 6 women were already seated, all of them stunning and perfectly put together. Lady Celeste presided at the head of the table like a queen herself. "Maya, so glad you could join us." Celeste's smile was all teeth. "Ladies, this is Maya Sullivan, our king's new mate." The Q pause before mate was deliberate and cruel. Maya sat in the empty chair and immediately felt like prey surrounded by predators. "Tell us everything," a blonde woman said eagerly. "How did you capture the Alpha King's attention?" "We're all dying to know your secret." "There's no secret. We just connected." "How convenient," another woman muttered, just loud enough to hear. "I think it's romantic," a younger woman with red hair said kindly, like something from a story. "Stories aren't real, Nina," Celeste said dismissively. "Reality is much more complicated." She turned her sharp gaze on Maya. "Speaking of reality, Maya, what experience do you have with royal protocol? Diplomatic relations? Court etiquette?" "None," Maya admitted. "But I'm learning." "How refreshing, honesty." Celeste sipped her tea. "Though I wonder if honesty alone will be enough when you're negotiating treaties or hosting foreign dignitaries. One wrong word could start a war." "Then it's good I won't be alone," Maya said. "The king seems quite capable of handling diplomatic situations." "Oh, of course. But a proper queen should be able to stand on her own, don't you think? Not just hide behind her mate's authority." Maya felt her cheeks burn, but before she could respond, the red-haired woman, Nina, spoke up. "Lady Celeste, with respect, didn't you tell us just last week that a queen's primary job is to support her king? Seems like Maya's doing exactly that." Celeste's smile tightened. "I suppose that's one perspective." The tea continued in the same vein. Polite questions that were actually attacks. Compliments that were really insults. Maya navigated it as best as she could, trying to remember Vera's advice about not giving them ammunition. But then Celeste went too far. "I have to say, Maya, you're not quite what we expected for our king. He's always been so particular about appearances. His reputation, image, that sort of thing." She dabbed her mouth with a napkin. "I suppose love really is blind." The message was clear. "You're not pretty enough. Not thin enough. Not good enough," something in Maya snapped. She was tired of being made to feel small. The ride to Blackwood Kingdom took most of the day. Maya's arms were sore from holding on to Darius, her body ached from the unfamiliar position, and her mind was still trying to process everything that had happened in the last 12 hours. They stopped once for food and rest at a small roadside diner. Maya caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror and barely recognized herself. Wind-blown hair, exhausted eyes, wearing expensive leather borrowed from the Alpha King. She looked like someone playing dress-up in a life that didn't belong to her. "You okay?" One of Darius's warriors, a woman named Kira, asked as she washed her hands at the next sink. "Just tired," Maya said. Kira studied her for a moment. "For what it's worth, I think you're brave. Not many people would take the Alpha King up on an offer like that without knowing what they're getting into." "What am I getting into?" Kira's expression turned serious. "Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. The king doesn't usually bring strangers into the inner circle, but he seems to trust you, and Darius doesn't trust easily." She dried her hands. "My advice? Keep your eyes open and watch your back. The court can be just as dangerous as any rogue attack, just in different ways." That was comforting. When they got back on the bikes, Maya noticed Darius watching her carefully. "You sure you're all right? We can take another break if you need it." "I'm fine," Maya lied. She wasn't fine. She was terrified and questioning every decision she'd made. But turning back wasn't an option, so fine would have to do. As they crossed into Blackwood territory, the landscape changed. The trees grew thicker, taller, more ancient. The air itself felt different, charged with old magic and power. And then as they crested a hill, Maya saw it, the Blackwood Palace. It wasn't what she'd expected, not some cold stone fortress, but a massive structure that seemed to grow out of the forest itself. Stone and wood blended together in architecture that was both intimidating and beautiful. Towers reached toward the sky, windows glinted in the late afternoon sun, and surrounding it all was a wall that looked like it could withstand a war. "Home, sweet home," Darius said over his shoulder as they rode through the main gates. Guards nodded respectfully as they passed, their eyes curious when they landed on Maya. She could almost hear their thoughts. Who is this girl? What is she doing? With the king? They pulled up to the main entrance and Maya climbed off the bike on shaky legs. Her whole body felt like jelly. Darius steadied her with a hand on her elbow. "Give yourself a few minutes. Your legs need to remember how to work." He signaled to a young woman in elegant clothing who'd appeared at the top of the steps. "Vera, this is Maya. She'll need a room in the East Wing, clothes and whatever else she requires. Treat her as you would treat me." Vera's eyes widened slightly, but she masked her surprise quickly. "Of course, Your Majesty. Right away." She looked at Maya with a warm smile. "Welcome to Blackwood Palace, if you'll follow me." Darius touched Maya's arm briefly. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow we'll discuss the details of our arrangement and start your training. If you need anything, Vera will help you." Then he was gone, striding into the palace with Kira and the other warriors, leaving Maya standing there feeling lost and out of place. "Come on," Vera said kindly. "You look like you could use a bath and a good meal. We'll get you sorted out." The room Vera led her to was bigger than Maya's entire house back in Silver Creek. A huge bed with silk sheets, furniture that looked like it cost more than a year's salary, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the forest, and a bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. "This can't be right," Maya said. "This is too much." Vera laughed. "This is actually one of the smaller guest rooms. You should see the royal suite." She started opening drawers and closets. "The king said to treat you as we'd treat him, which means you get whatever you need. I've already sent for clothes in your size. They should arrive within the hour." "How do you know my size?" "The king told me." Vera said it like it was obvious, like Alpha Kings regularly memorized the measurements of random omegas they picked up from other packs. Maya sank onto the edge of the bed. It was the softest thing she'd ever felt in her life. "Would you like that bath drawn?" Vera asked. "And I can have food sent up, or if you prefer, there's a formal dinner in the main hall in 2 hours. As the king's guest, you'd be welcome to attend." The thought of facing a room full of strangers made Maya's stomach turn. "Food here would be better if that's okay." "More than okay. I'll arrange it immediately." Vera headed for the door, then paused. "Maya, I know this is all overwhelming, but you're safe here. The king wouldn't have brought you if he didn't have a good reason. Try to trust that." After Vera left, Maya finally allowed herself to break down. She curled up on that expensive bed and cried. Not sad tears exactly, more like release tears. Everything from the past day, the past year, maybe her whole life, came pouring out. When the tears finally stopped, she felt strangely lighter. Empty, but in a good way. Like she'd been carrying weight she didn't even realize was there. The bath Vera had drawn was still hot when Maya finally dragged herself to the bathroom. She sank into the water and let it soothe her aching muscles. Someone had added oils that smelled like lavender and something else she couldn't identify. Heaven. That's what it smelled like. She must have dozed off because the next thing she knew, Vera was gently shaking her shoulder. "Sorry to wake you, but the water's getting cold and your food has arrived. Also, the clothes are here." Maya dried, off with towels softer than anything she'd ever owned, and found Vera had laid out comfortable clothes on the bed. Not fancy gowns or anything formal, just well-made pants and a soft sweater that fit perfectly. The food was incredible. Roasted chicken, fresh vegetables, bread that was still warm, and some kind of chocolate dessert that made Maya actually moan out loud. She'd never tasted anything so good in her life. "You're spoiling me," she told Vera, who was organizing the closet with the new clothes that had arrived. "That's the idea. The king wants you comfortable." Vera hung up what looked like a ball gown. "Speaking of which, I should warn you. There's a council meeting tomorrow morning and he wants you there." Maya nearly choked on her bread. "What? Why?" I don't know anything about politics or... He wants to introduce you formally. Announce your... relationship. Vera chose her words carefully, and Maya wondered how much the staff actually knew. It'll cause quite a stir. The king has refused every attempt to set him up for years. People are going to be curious, and some will be less than welcoming. Great. Just what I need. More people who think I don't belong. Vera turned to look at her directly. Can I speak freely? Please. You're right. There will be people who think you don't belong, who'll look for any excuse to tear you down or prove you're not worthy. She moved closer. But here's the thing, those people are scared. The king choosing someone unexpected, someone they can't control or predict, that terrifies them. So they'll try to make you scared instead. Don't let them. Easy to say. I know. But I've worked in this palace for 10 years. I've seen dozens of high-born ladies parade through here, all trying to catch the king's attention. You know what they had in common? Vera smiled. They all left disappointed. But you? You're actually here. He brought you himself. That means something, even if I don't know what yet. Maya wanted to tell her the truth, that it was all fake, a contract, a business arrangement. But Darius's words echoed in her head. The contract needed to seem real for it to work. What's he like? Maya asked instead. The king, when he's not being all commanding and scary. Vera thought for a moment. Honestly, I don't know. He keeps everyone at a distance. Even Kira, who's been his head warrior for years, doesn't really know him personally. She folded one of the new shirts. But I can tell you this, he's fair. Strict, yes. Demanding, absolutely. But fair. If you do your job well, he notices. If you need help, he provides it. He takes care of his people, even if he doesn't always show it in warm, fuzzy ways. He's carrying something, Maya said quietly. Some kind of weight. I could see it in his eyes. Most leaders do, and Darius has been leading since he was barely 20. That's a lot of years carrying the fate of an entire kingdom. Vera finished with the closet and headed for the door. Get some rest, tomorrow's going to be intense, and Maya? For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. It'll be nice to have another woman in the palace who doesn't think her main job is to look pretty and scheme. After Vera left, Maya explored her new room more thoroughly. The closet now held more clothes than she'd owned in her entire life. The dresser was stocked with personal items she might need. There were books on the shelves, actual books, not just pack histories, but novels and poetry and things meant for enjoyment. It was like a dream. And Maya kept waiting to wake up back in her cramped room in Silver Creek. The joke revealed, the cruelty resumed. But as the sun set and the moon rose outside her window, she was still here. Still in this beautiful room in a palace that felt like something from a fairy tale. Luna stirred inside her, content for the first time in years. Safe, her wolf seemed to say. We're safe here. Maya hoped she was right. Sleep came easier than she expected, probably because she was so exhausted, but her dreams were strange. Flashes of silver eyes and golden light. Whispered warnings in voices she didn't recognize, and underneath it all a feeling that something